Today we are at the last video of the non-metallic pipeline series. This video will be useful for you because I am sharing all of my lesson learned, all of the challenges and troubles we face during non-metallic pipeline installation. Let me forecast what I am going to discuss today. Basically the challenges for constructing non-metallic pipeline. As a sample, I will present you the statistics for all the leakages, reasons for the leakages and lesson learned from there and possible solutions. And finally, I will take a specific case study which will be very interesting really, because this is step test for final clarification and acceptance of a repeatedly failure pipeline in our project. Let us start. Non-metallic pipelines are getting popular in the industry because of its cheap installation procedure, durability, long life get rid of any internal corrosions, and time required for the installation is much less than the carbon steel or metallic pipelines. But still these non-metallic pipelines are bringing lot of challenges to the contractor. Let us discuss the challenges. The first one, what I feel is, it requires skilled and trained installer and vendor site supervisor is mandatory during site installation. So all installer and QC to be trained from the designer and manufacturer. It is a mandatory requirement. They put it in the company standard also. And also we need to hire a vendor site supervisor for each crew. Each and every joint installation, HYDROTEST, the supervisor must be present. They charge very high for the supervisor per monthly. Second challenge we face is the nitrogen layup for the metallic risers for RTR. See, when it is a non-metallic pipeline and we are telling that we are getting rid of corrosion, why we need to put nitrogen for the whole line? Underground RTR lines, when it transits to the ground, above ground, it needs a metallic riser or carbon steel risers. These risers are prone to corrosion. To protect the internal corrosion of the metallic risers, client is pushing contractor to put nitrogen for the whole line and bringing dew point. You see, practically the line is generally for condensate and water. If water is a service fluid, we need to take out the water, dry it with a dew point and put nitrogen. Actually, it doesn't make any sense. So this is a challenge for us. Possible solution for this, in my opinion, is using some plate spacer at the riser flange. Isolate the riser from the non-metallic pipe and we will only pass that non-metallic section. Second solution might be metallic riser to be internally coated or alloy cladded to avoid any internal corrosion. And third one, client to agree with dry layup with dry air, where contractor will bring the dew point at -1 degree centigrade and it will be maintained. This is also more or less a challenge. And the final one, keep the service water inside the pipe. This is called wet layup and it will be full of water till the commissioning of the pipeline happens. If the line will not be commissioned within 30 days, as per the standard, we need to use some corrosion inhibitor chemical inject into this HYDROTEST water. Third challenge, threaded joint leakage from the joint coupling. I will give you one example here. Each pipe with coupler came with coupler attached to the pipe from manufacturer. During installation, the new joint is inspected and the coupler attached to the pipe, that thread is not properly again retightened or put the glue or Teflon to protect it from the leak. As a result, after completing the whole pipeline, we face a leak of 46 joints. A lot of rework. So the reason basically not inspected or verified for thread engagement of the coupler to the pipe, and also not inspected or not verified that Teflon sealant applied or not. My company applied this lesson learned and managed to avoid this type of leak for the project. So this is a good improvement, you can say. Fourth challenge, RTR line pipe storage with tarpaulin cover. Even for underground installation, project pipes and fittings are added with ultraviolet ray protection so that it can be stored directly under the sun. Still, project inspection did not allow to store the line pipes exposed directly to the sunlight even after assurance letter from the manufacturer. Also, the threaded coupling and box and pin end of all pipes and fittings are not protected from the ultraviolet rays, because after the pipe manufacture, the thread are going to expose the outer layer and inner layer is revealed. That inner layer is not protected from ultraviolet rays. So that area always we need to cover with a end cap provided by the manufacturer. But for long-term storage, these end caps occasionally getting missed or open. So this is a big challenge. Fifth challenge, continuous protection of non-metallic pipelines even after installation and hydrotest. Since it is a non-metallic pipe, it is not hard and durable like carbon steel or metallic pipelines. So contractor needs to protect the non-metallic pipeline after installation inside the trench, even after backfilling and berming completed. The responsibility will not be over till the mechanical completion of the project is over. So our observation from this project is the contractor working around our pipeline, they are moving their heavy equipment over our completed pipeline's berm and damaging the buried non-metallic pipelines. These other contractors, they are crossing our pipeline and exposing the berm without informing us and damaging our non-metallic pipeline during excavation or backfilling and even not reporting to us. And also sometimes our civil crew also damaging the pipeline and also not reporting to us, and this is delaying really our hydrotest. We have some unanticipated leaks which can be very difficult to identify later on. Next challenge is installation and maintenance of underground flange connections. There are a lot of underground flange connection wherever we have a tie-in, means we are leaving that area of pipeline during construction because of road crossing or because of the site condition, or maybe the trench is not ready, and that area only need to be connected with a piece of pipe with a flange setup at the end. These flange connections has to be protected with stoppack and also special type of bolts, coated bolts required. These flange connections need to be exposed till the hydrotest completed, and we need to protect it till we complete the whole pipeline. This is also a big challenge. Next challenge, separate hydrotest for metallic risers with higher test pressure. Carbon steel riser with the same rating, it can withstand much pressure. For example, our project rating of the flanges was 600 psi, and the metallic risers are tested at 2250 psi, whereas the RTR pipeline, based on their operating pressure, it is tested on 1562.5 psi. So being a part of the same pipeline, riser test must be same. This is a nuisance for the contractor that riser need to be separately tested and then attached with the pipeline and also tested together with the pipeline later on. This is kind of a unpractical resolution for the contractor. It's a challenge. Failure in hydrotest in RTR and RTP is also very common. The major reason for it, as we found, is not the leakage from the joint. This is also one of the case, but most of the instances the body of the pipe is getting damaged. I have discussed the reasons in our challenge section. Here I am displaying a table to show you the RTR and RTP hydrotest status. We have actually 7 pipelines for the project. Only one pipeline, 4-inch RTP, out of 7 pipelines are accepted in the first hydrotest. Some portions are tested section by section, then backfilled, and then they are connected together, and there was a complete end-to-end hydrotest for the final acceptance. So every time project inspection, project management team and the proponent team involved in the witness, there is always some deviations in hydrotest pressure, and nobody has clear idea that why there is a drop. No visible leakage was found, and then they make a thumb rule kind of thing, 5 to 7% drop is acceptable. This figure comes from where we don't know. As in case of metallic risers, we are very confirmed that this line has no leak, but for the RTR and RTP non-metallic, still now the deviation of the pressure, not always because of the temperature, not always because of the elevation difference, because of the pipe stretch difference is coming. After the table, let us discuss some reason or lesson learned for this HYDROTEST leakage or failure. Out of 7 pipelines, only 1 pipeline got accepted first time. Repeated HYDROTEST done for a single section, no proper justification found for the deviation of pressure. The possible causes as anticipated by the manufacturer, the company consulting service department who are experts, and our company team. Air from the pipeline not removed completely. As per manufacturer, line should be filled from the lowest point, and water filling after repairing a section shall be repeated with the scrapers or pig to assure removal of most of the entrapped air. Pressure stabilization period is less. As per CSD and manufacturer, at least 12-hour pressure stabilization at 50% of the HYDROTEST pressure is mandatory. This is to compensate the noticeable pipeline expansion or body stretch, also to stabilize the line pressure from low and high point entrapped air. Pipe mechanical damage not always detected by visual inspection. Almost all the HYDROTEST failure and leakage are due to mechanical damages of the pipe body. The damage caused by the equipment during backfilling or by other contractor exposed for their pipeline crossing. Some of the damage only detected during destructive test for further investigation at the manufacturer's facility or in their laboratory. Occasional pressure drop during HYDROTEST RTR section. This repetitive failure we face in one of our pipeline. You can see how many times these lines are rejected because the occasional pressure drop is not proportional to the temperature drop or the elevation difference. Our project inspection team, consultant on the manufacturer or designer, they even could not reach to a decision to accept the lines. So we followed different suggestions and solutions from them, and after a lot of difficulty, this line got accepted. So from the table you can see the failures and how many times it is rejected. I will take it as a special case study. Symptom is occasional pressure drop during HYDROTEST the section. No visible leak was found, but the pressure was dropping, and sometimes there was no indication of increasing pressure, so the line was rejected. As a remedy, CSD revised the water stabilization duration to allow more time for the RTR pipe to stretch and reduce the chances of pressure drop due to this reason. Here is some revised field hydrostatic plan which are mutually agreed by company consulting service department and the manufacturer and designer. The first step, which is pre-test, water filling and air purging following the manufacturer procedure, which says the water has to be filled from the lowest point using the pig. Second step, which is also pre-test, after filling, the temperature shall be allowed to stabilize before commencing pressurization. This may take 24 to 48 hours depending on the temperature difference between the fill water, the soil surrounding the pipeline, type of soil and air temperature, etc. Test plan A. This is standard pressure test but modified a bit. On test, follow the pressurization steps 1 to 5. I will put a table page where you can read all the steps with a minimum holding time of 10 minutes per each increment. When reaching to MAOP, maximum active operating pressure, the line shall be stabilized for a minimum duration of 12 hours. The line shall be stabilized again at pressure of 1400 psi and 1500 psi for another 12 hours, 6 hours at step 7 and 6 hours at step 8. When reaching the required pressure at 1.25 MAOP, the line shall be monitored for 2 hours for final stabilization. If no pressure drop was recorded within the first 2 hours, then the 24 hours mark shall start. In case pressure was dropped during final stabilization, the line shall be repressurized back to 1.25 MAOP and then the 24-hour mark shall start. The pressure variation during 24 hours holding time at 1.25 MAOP after final stabilization shall be within calculated theoretical pressure drop. This is some kind of graphical representation of test plan A. is not drawn to the scale, and it is made as an illustration of stabilization steps to be done during the test. You can see 12-hour stabilization is there, some pressure drop anticipated, then we will reach 1400 psi, then 6-hour stabilization, whatever drops, then we again reach to 1500 psi and again another 6-hour stabilization. Then finally we will reach to 1.25 MAOP, which is 1562 psi, and then we will continue for another 24 hours. At the end we will see the theoretical pressure. If it is not less than that, the test will be accepted. Test plan B, which is very interesting and kind of new for most of us. It is step test. It is recommended as per ISO 14692. In the case of a pressure drop greater than the theoretical calculated value, means when the test A is failed, plan A is failed, a step test shall be carried out to ensure the line is leak tight. A separate method statement will be provided by manufacturer to conduct the step test. If both plan A and B deemed unsuccessful, the test shall be considered as failed. Sequences for step test. Fill the line one day earlier to allow the pressures to stabilize overnight at 750 psi. In the next day, pressurize the line to the required test pressure. If the pressure dropped, repressurize the line to the test pressure MAOP and hold for 8 hours. Start the 8 hours hydro test at 8 am. Record the temperature and pressure throughout the 8 hours. For the next 16 hours, maintain the required test pressure MAOP 1250 by adding water every 2 hours from 4 pm today to 8 am next day. Record the pressure, temperature and volume of water added. Plot the pressure versus time, pressure drop versus time, water volume added, pressure drop divided by the water volume added. This is the table how the step test went for our project. At the end of the step test, the line ultimately accepted. So this is a statistics you can go through and you can see actually what happened to this line. This is the graphical representation of the test. The blue color is the duration. The orange color is the water injection in liter, how many liters introduced. The gray color is the pressure drop and light orange color is the temperature change. So that's all for my non-metallic series, guys. Hope you are satisfied and gain some knowledge of this new evolved technology. If you have any questions, you can drop me in the comment box. If you like the way of my teaching, please share my channel to your friends who are seeking for this type of knowledge. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Signing off, Showman. Thank you.